a little bit early today. So I am joining you early, just by about 4 minutes. I hope you guys have had an amazing weekend. It's been very productive here at home. We did a lot of things yesterday, up bright and early in the morning with the kiddos, and was able to get gingerbread cookies made and a lot of other great things. Fill our memory books with lots of memories. So I'm just getting the chat up on the other computer. So we have that live. I know I am a little bit early. So I see we do have a couple people. Hello, Eunice. How are you doing today? All right, let's get into these stock charts. Oh my goodness, I didn't even pull them up yet over here. So 2 seconds while I get that up and running. I hope you all are having an amazing Sunday afternoon. Hi, FICO. Hello, Asif. All right, let's pull up these stock charts. They're just loading. It's a bit bright right there. I don't know. I think I like this new background. Thanks, Asif. Yeah, same one that I had since last week, I think. So it looks like it's loading and loading. Oh, I had it up right here. Oh, that's my YouTube. No, not YouTube, excuse me, Twitter. All right, so I got Apple short. We're going to talk about Apple today. We're going to talk about the SPY and some other great stocks. Hello, Nicholas. Wow, thank you guys for joining me. Now, remember, if you guys do like the live stream, please hit that thumbs up. That way, YouTube will go ahead and try to pop it up to the top so I can help more people at once. The algorithm likes it when people like it and comment when the comments happen. So, all right, let's bring this over right here. So this is my watch list. I have some lower float stocks on the watch list today. And QS, I know that Cleveland and Kyle are watching this one. I also like a lot PLG, looking at the chart, looking at metals for being a potential safe haven for capital if the market tends to pull back. And we're going to look at the SPY. So let's put this onto my Sunday watch list over here and clean it up. I have a little bit of a headache. I think it is, I'm a little dehydrated. So I'm probably not going to be able to go as long as an entire hour today. But we'll get everything done. And if you guys have stocks that you want to check out, hello, Dea. Hello, Nicholas. We will go ahead and check them out as well. So let me just put the list up over here from mine. Do you know Final Leaf Tasterworks are coming back in June? Yes, Eunice. So what happened was they did have their meeting. However, it was a virtual meeting because they were not able to come to Canada with the borders being closed. And so what happened was they are on hold until first quarter of 2021. That's their new estimated arrival date. They totally want to be up here. However, there's a bit of stuff that has to happen in person. And so for that stuff to happen in person, they need to be able to get here, right? So it's probably going to happen in first quarter of 2021, with vaccines and everything. Yeah, for sure. I can't wait for them to come, honestly. Like, I think it's going to revolutionize the commission structure here in Canada, much like it did in the US. All right? Okay. So, GBTC, we're going to look at that. Kodak, T-Bio, and FRHC. Hey, how's it going, Kyle? Did you see I put QS on there for Cleveland? Intel and ZTS. All right, so let's look at the SPY to start out. I've got my scarf on. It's a little chilly up here today, quite windy. All right, so SPY is starting to curl down. And so we're looking at that on the daily chart. This is not abnormal. We were a little extended away, right? We're setting new high here, set a new high here, new high here, and then on that new high day, we had higher than expected volume. So looking to see, is this going to continue to curl to the downside? It's almost giving us that indication. On Friday morning, we had this move. It came, consolidated, dropped down, then bounced up, closed up above. But you guys know on my 45-minute chart, this is 15-minute. But on my 45-minute chart, the bear and bull would be down here for me, 362.70. So looking at that, yep, we'll add NEO and PLTR, yep. So looking at that, it does look like we are potentially going to correct a little bit further. If we bounce off of that 362.70, that could really prove a catapult point. But we're starting to pull back. I don't know. It feels like we might have a little mini correction, maybe back down here, maybe back down to like 350, 347 area over here. We sort of have a megaphone that's set up. So wondering if we will pull back. Yeah, TTCF. Hey, I know somebody else that was watching TTCF. ISNG. All right. Whoops. It looks like ISNG isn't a stock ticker. It didn't come up, Nicholas. So check that out. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So looking at that, we're starting to see that pull over. Also, Apple, number 1 in the SPY and the Qs. Is this looking very positive? No. It's starting to really pull back. I'm going to adjust this to a high up here. All right. So if we can stay below right here, there's a good chance that we could really come back down further. We have a bit of a diamond formation, which will be a reversal pattern. Mark, I feel that there is a little bit of a correction to happen, roughly 9% off of the top, which would pull us back to roughly 337 if we were to go all the way back down to 337. Usually when we see a sentiment indicator for the SPY show that over 70%, that when it's over 70%, bullish indication, many times there will be a correction. So keeping that in mind, the sentiment last week was, hey, roughly 80%, 86% were feeling bullish on the market as a whole, and we had higher than expected volume at the same time, and we're starting to curl over. So if we look at 372, we take off 9% roughly. That brings us down to about 337, which would be almost down here. So looking at that, we might have a bigger move to come. Another reason why I say that, we start to see that Apple is slowly stalling in momentum, right? It does look like a bit of a diamond here. If I draw little lines, right? If I draw a line here, and then we draw a line here, we already have that trend line. So are we going to break down out of this diamond? It's a fairly unusual pattern to see, but a consistent reversal pattern. So if we start to break down below, we're likely going to be heading down for a reversal on Apple, which could definitely affect the market as a whole, being 10% of the Qs and 6% of the SPY. All right, so that's a big reason why I do watch Apple so much. The Qs as well, similar. We had a bigger drawdown. This is more dramatic than Apple right now. In fact, let's put a comparison on with Apple. Apple's all the way down here, Q's is up here. So will this come back and continue to pull down further? I don't want another. So this Apple is down at negative 2.3% versus the Q's that's up here at, here's our close, 6.88%. So if Apple is 10% and it's really underperforming against the Q's, that could drag down the Qs as well. All right. Yes. Okay, let's get rid of Apple right here. And let's also look at Microsoft, because Microsoft is number 2 for the Qs, and we're just sort of trading in a channel, right? It's not really going anywhere quickly. We did bounce off of this trend line, but on the 24-hour chart, it's a bit slow going over here. Let's move this like this. Let's adjust this. So we have that downward, we have a bit of a, like an ascending wedge, but it would need to break out So I'm not liking it. And we also have this trend line right here. Like it's just going sideways. But when we have that consolidation or distribution area, it will tend to have a bigger move. All right, Tesla as well. I mentioned, if you guys saw, I was on with Angela Miles, called out on Thursday, potential short for Tesla, performing nicely to the downside right now. I want to put this here to here. So it's still respecting this downward trend. So as long as we stay below roughly 624, this could have a bigger correction to it, maybe back down to 553, and then potentially up further. Obviously, if it came all the way down to 476, I'd be so happy and jumping in full force. But I missed the entry here and still watching for that second day. Seems like every time margin debt goes up at a certain level, it is a sign of reversal. Yeah, well, they have to clear off their debt, right, to close out the margin. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. Amazon still holding above this 3,100 level. Almost looks like a W pattern over here. Hey, bad scientist. Oh, and of course, guys, if you happen to see a random profile that is trying to scam you for money for Bitcoin, it is not me, okay? Please shoot me a screenshot, send me an email, jane@cjanetrade.com, because I will not be asking you for money. The only thing is, if you choose to subscribe, you would be paying for money for my watch list. But other than that, I'm not going to ask you for anything. I'm not going to solicit you for learning how to trade Bitcoin, all that sort of stuff. So please be careful out there, because I have had a lot of scammers that have used my photos to try to scam people. So check that out. Trying to see if we can get Twitter on it to help as well. All right. Okay, so let's look at REPH. That's the first one on my potential long list over here. Like how it closed up high of day, really on the 24-hour chart or coming up. We have a potential move up to $4 right here. Really, Kyle? They did it to you too? Yes, please. Please report them, people. That sounded really impersonal. I didn't mean for that to sound so impersonal. But let's see. Let's go over here. Let's put it on the 45-minute chart. I've got that green line. Wow, Mark. Wow. I'm sorry, guys. But you guys are here with me that I don't do that. So, all right. So I would look at this to hold $3. REPH does have 20 million in the float, so it could really run. This might very well have a bit of a short squeeze on Monday. So I'd look for $3 and $3.25. It was 60% short volume on Friday, so keep that in mind. ZAG as well. So ZAG did the protective coating for computer screens and everything. I like it. Look at this cup and handle on the daily, right? And we're testing that right now. Bigger volume that happened on Friday kept it pretty much up at the high of the day. So keeping this on watch as well for a breakout above 425. Move it up one more penny. So 425. And I'd be looking for support to hold of 414 right there. I'm not going to give it that much space. This does have 28.8 million. It was 27% short volume, on Friday. So here's our daily. Now Disney is huge right now. Had a nice technical breakout of a downward trend over here, and it shot up. Amazing move on Friday. I would look for breakup above 180, and I would also look for support to hold of 174 over here. All right, so 174 and 180. It has 1.8 billion in the float, and it was 65% short volume on Friday. Many times when those shorts get stubborn, what happens? We see a squeeze to the upside, right? PLG, Platinum Group Metals. Sounds good, bad scientist. What's the expiration date for those calls? You should know by now that when the news comes out, it tends to be a sell the news scenario, right? So we will check it out. But tends to be a sell the news, right? The hype is when it tends to grow. All right, so looking for a break above $6 for PLG. This does have 47.3 million in the float, and it was 60% short volume. Which Friday? This Friday? So $5.50 and $6 for PLG for those lower priced fans. The volume has been ramping up pretty much as it's been going up the hill. Okay. And HCAT, Health Catalyst, another, it looks like a bit of cup and handle right here, and then we're breaking out. If we can break out above 41.26, likely 42, 44, 46, maybe back up to 50, right? This does look like on the daily chart back here, almost an inverted head and shoulders. So down at 17. And then if we look at this as the neckline, 17 plus 37, we're looking at $20, $57 potentially to the upside for Health Catalyst there at the bigger picture. So I'm going to add that horizontal line up here, 40, 25. And for support, I would like to see that this is going to hold 39.50. This does have 33.3 million in the float and 30% short volume from Friday. All right, looking at potential shorts. We have SATS. I mean, look at this chart over here on the left. Does this look healthy and happy to you? Like you want to jump into this and gain some, get in on this one? Yeah, all right, awesome. The one thing is that we do see that there's higher volume right here. Sometimes when we do have higher volume at the bottom, that could be an exhaustion of the sellers and buyers are getting in, and it might reverse. So I would keep it on watch. I'm going to go over to the right hand side. For our break below, we're going to look for a break below 21.20 over here for our support, and a breakout above $22, that round dollar mark. Look at how it really was a support, and then it looks to have flipped to be resistance. So 21.20 and 22. Now, the next one I had on my list, the first one actually for short was Apple. So definitely watching Apple as well. It had a nice short on Friday. Keeps testing the 45 on that. The 425 on the 45-minute chart. Does look like a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders right here. I won't lie. Shoulder, head, shoulder, but it hasn't broken out this way. So keeping it on watch. Again, this has some action over here that looks like it wants to curl over and draw down further to me. 120.94 and 122.50. So we'll call it 121 and 122.50. All right, let's look at Lulu. So Lulu, they have the mirror, right? That's going to be Lulu's version of the Peloton bike. And it came down, hit a support area over here after earnings. Yep, didn't really perform well. Maybe we're going to see a 3-day move to the downside. And I want to see these over here. So let's sync it up. There we go. All right. So 341, let's call it 342 for the support level. Nice round dollar. And then over here, 350.50 for our resistance. 342, oops. 342 and 350.50. Next one for potential short, to laser. This one is lower float with 9.27 million. So you guys can see parabolic move to the upside, coming back down. Maybe it's going to find a little bit of support here at 26.50, a dead cat bounce up to maybe 30, and then continue back down the hill. But right now it does have strong bearish momentum. Hey, Kyle, what are these 3 candlesticks called? Testing you. Anybody for those candlesticks? All right, 28 for support and 31.50 for resistance. All right, guys. Are you guys enjoying the live stream? You got it, Mark. Because if you're liking the live stream, please hit that thumbs up button. All right. Okay, QS. QS, low float, 23 million shares outstanding. I don't know how many are actually there in the float to be circulated, but here's the big thing. We have big volume selling wick this day. Yep. So this day, another indecision day, and finally confirmation to the downside. We might see that it's going to fill this gap all the way back down to 47.73 fairly quickly. Kyle, I hope that Cleveland took care of all that good stuff he has. Adobe, yeah, we'll add that on, Nicholas. All right, so over here, we'll look for 63 for support and 66.40 for resistance. 63 and 66.40. Now this, like I said, does have it's a lower outstanding number of shares. It is in the lithium battery space. Oh, thanks, Kevin. So looking at this, might have a bigger draw to the downside and then gain strength again. It's also, if you look at the Elliott wave, really it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. Or we could say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this could be the corrective A, B, C back down here. We will see. All right. So the ones that I have on my list are to FRH for potential swings, right? We have GBTC over here. Let's make it A. And it's been coming back down. It tested. Of course, this is going to trade much like Bitcoin itself. So when we look at Bitcoin to the US dollar, let's go to Coinbase over here. Hey, look, we are testing highs, right? It almost looks like a W on the daily chart, a bit of an ascending triangle right here. So we're really looking for that 20. Actually, it really needs to break above right here, 19,725 at alert, 19,725 to the upside. It did have upward wick there, but we want to see it close, right? We want to see it really close. A, B, C, D. Yeah, you got it, Kyle, too. A, B, C, D, and also Elliott wave as well. The two go hand in hand together. So looking at this, we'll likely see GBTC really moving to the upside. Something else to also know about GBTC. This trust owns 1.54% of Bitcoin itself. So when you are pouring money into these shares, it will trade like Bitcoin, sometimes at a premium. And right now it's holding this more shallow trend line. We do have a bit more of an extreme. Let's put this right here to right here. So it's bouncing off of this one as well. And then with downward price action, oops, right here. So I want to know if it's crossing up here. Add an alert, crossing up. Likely it will go off tomorrow morning as soon as we open, because we see that Bitcoin is going to be roughly right around here. So maybe it's going to be at 22.80 thereabouts, and watching for that $24 break. Also Kodak. So Kodak is slowly starting to break out of this channel, right? The volume is dropping. However, on the shorter time frame, it is setting up for this reversal. Remember, Kodak is one of the companies that the government has said, hey, go into production for the vaccines. The vaccines are about to get that stamp of approval. Hey, use it. Go to the upside. So Kodak will be generating revenue by creating all of this production of the vaccines, right? That's the way that I'm looking at it. Not an instantaneous run to the upside. However, this might be a bit more of a value type trade in which we see this one explodes up based on them saying, hey, we are generating so much revenue off of all of these vaccines. More the production end of it as opposed to the company that's actually having the sales. T-Bio as well on the 45-minute chart. Let's go back to the 24-hour. We have a bit of, I know, but they've just simply repurposed their machines. It's actually a great strategy for the long run of the company, right? They're being adaptive in the marketplace. So T-Bio, I'm usually not a biotech person. I like the stock chart technically, right? We have this cup and handle breakout. What's the depth over here? 1191 to roughly 2288. So 1191, we'll call it $11, and it breaks out. So $11, we'll call the breakout over here at 22. We could see this running up to $33. A nice $8 move on this one potentially. So that's what I like about T-Bio for that reason. FRHC, Freedom Holdings, same sort of scenario. Look at this right here. See it breaking, like it's coming back up. We have this flag right here, and then boom, out with higher volume. It needs to really break that $46 mark for me to really be confident that this is going to continue to the upside. But this is a nice move on this stock chart, right? You like this one? You like FRHC? All right, awesome. Let's look at Intel. So we have Intel. Intel has been testing this trend line. It came down below, tested as resistance, popped up above. Now potentially holding it right here. I would look on the bigger picture. Love when they break out with high volume. Yeah. For confirmation, right? So here we have this channel that it was trading in, then it broke out up above, tested those moving averages, and shot back down here, found support, slow upward trend again, and now it's testing this trend line that really acted as support in the past. And if the volume can come into it, it's still curling over. Like, I'm not sure yet. If we start to see a drawback on all of the indexes on the Qs, Intel would likely come back down and test down here first, and then maybe regather some strength and go to the upside. Oh, you know what, Earl? I did cover Microsoft just at the beginning, but I will add on, we're going to add on ESE and Overstock. I do like Overstock as a Bitcoin type related trade. All right, let's look at ZTS. Zoetis, is this pharmaceuticals? Yeah, pharmaceuticals. Right now, this looks like it's in a downward trend. Do you guys see that? I don't remember who mentioned it, and I forgot to add Adobe. Let me add Adobe there too. Looking at 53.50 for ZTS. Huh? Oh, Intel. Got it. To the upside, Kyle. It could happen. However, right now it's in a bit of a downward, like it's gone up 1, 2, how far down is it going to go before we have that leg 3? Not sure. So I don't know what time frame you have if you are in an option on that, but it could very well happen, but it might come down a little bit further before it continues up. Okay, let's go to ZTS. So ZTS, I see this with my eyes. I spy with my little eyes a downward channel. So it's actually right at a lower risk entry to the short side. Yeah, Julia, I'll add on BA. So this looks like this could continue down to the downside, maybe all the way back down roughly to 152, but I'm liking it more to the downside, more short biased on the chart at the moment. All right, Peloton. Peloton's not, it came down. We had this wedge, it broke out, higher volume on this day. So let's see, it needs to really hold above 120 for me sufficiently to like this to the upside. That's acting as resistance and sellers. Thanks, Asif. And I would put, it does have an ascending wedge to it. So a 110.75 for support. So $10 range here. It is trading sideways at the moment. Would look for the breakout to the upside or breakout to the downside. All right, CRM. Let's add EGHT. All right, CRM. This one I think came from Mark. So Mark, it's coming down and it looks to have found support right down here on this moving average, roughly 221 or 220.80. So I would watch that, and it looks as if resistance has been up here roughly 230. So I would look for a breakout. Right now it's just going sideways. There's no big move one way or the other. I mean, it is a $10 range, but the bigger trade to happen is going to be one way or the other. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to leave that one right there, and I will get rid of this over here. All right, clean it up a little bit. So it looks like if we come here, maybe a potential run up to 248, which also happens to be roughly the 50 simple moving average, or and a test maybe at the 20 as well, 241. All right, NEO to the downside, they had the announcement of the additional shares for the offering. The market did not like it. Plus the chart looks like a shoulder, head, shoulder, neckline roughly right here, maybe 40 or 41. If we can break that, probably back down here roughly to 28.80. All right, PLTR. So PLTR is in this ascending triangle now. You guys can see it. Probably let's get rid of this one. So it's got an ascending triangle right here, came down, tested, up, tested, looking for another test, potential breakout above 30 for PLTR. DraftKings is consolidating right now, not going too much of anywhere. Higher volume came in at the top of this bound at 53.20. That looks like potential shoulder area from the past, and then it failed. It just came down here. Looks as if it used this moving average as support. So if it came to the downside, a target would be 38.50. If it breaks out to the upside, we do have a potential cup and handle breakout there on the daily. So I look to the depth of 34 to 53, $19. So roughly $72 up here, right? 34, 9, yeah, $72. Yeah, the wedge is nice on Peloton. Okay, CPRT, Copart, miscellaneous commercial services. Don't know what this is. Let's see what the average volume is like. 1.2 million. So yeah, it's a 1.2 million. Looks like a bit of a W right here if I stretch it out. You guys can probably see it. Base up, base up. So we'd say roughly 112.80 to say the midline here, 116. So looking at maybe like $4 to the upside, so maybe 121 up here for a test, and then that looks like that might also be a potential gap fill area. So maybe 121.50 if it continues to the upward side here. I like this one, bullish for that chart pattern. TTCF, so Tattooed Chef coming up, about to test the 50 simple moving average. It was acting as support, then it flipped, resistance, watching to see if it can break 1892. We also have a bit of a cup and handle over here as well. So who's going to win? The sellers on the 50 simple moving average or the cup and handle chart pattern with new buyer stepping in? All right, Vehu. Sorry guys, I'm blowing through this. My head hurts with a little bit of a headache today. So Vehu, this looks like it's lower float, a pharmaceutical company. I try to pretty much stay away. Remember with the crazy extended moving average, that this is going to be your risk really to this trend line, right? It could come back down here and it doesn't look so low risk, but if you were to get in at the top of one of these wicks, yes. But remember, what are these wicks telling you? Can anybody tell me what these wicks are telling us? I need to have a sip of water. Selling pressure is coming in with those wicks at the top. So you want to be cautious, right? Lower volume, high volume, lower volume, couldn't set a new high. So will this be taken out? And we have the first red day coming on Monday for Veru. ESE. So ESE Technologies, let's back it out. It looks as if it's coming back almost to a resistance point on the year. So would watch to see if this could break above 105. It was not able to ever break above there in the past, right? 107.10 was the high for the year. So I'd watch to see if it's going to break above that. If it breaks above that, new breakout, second time around, likely a bigger move to the upside. Might be seeing this go up to 125 fairly quickly. OSTK, Overstock. So Overstock is a Bitcoin type trade. It's been dancing around these moving averages, shorter, faster moving averages. It's curling over. It tested the 50 simple moving average as resistance, then pulled back. Are we going to see that this holds as support at 52.59? That would be, I would be curious to see if this holds a support and then continues to move to the upside. It does have, if I pull it on the weekly chart, you're going to see more of a channel that's set up right here, right? We see this. The more that you look at these charts, the more that you start to see this stuff setting up, right? How many weeks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. So I'd like this more to the upside. If it could break here, let's just move these down here, down here. If it goes below 52.50, getting out 71.50, likely an add, or $72, likely an add for me because I do have a position in on this. So keeping that in mind, there we go. Look at that, 72, or 71.80, that works, 70. Okay, Adobe. All right, Adobe. This is our weekly chart. You can see it does have a little bit of a descending angle up here. Let's draw this trend line over here. Right there. And right here. Let's go here. Looks like an alligator getting ready to launch. So we have a bit of a, what's the word? Symmetrical triangle. There we go. So I would say I'd measure it roughly from here to here. So target 105 points. Hey, if it breaks out 485, I'd be looking up for 590 to the upside. If it breaks down to the bottom, I'd be looking down, maybe down at 375. And yeah, we'll look at GDX and then I'm going to call it quits after GDX. So Boeing, you guys know, 425. Hey, that is my, oh my goodness. If we cannot break above it, get out, right? That is holding a support. It was also upgraded as well. Many times an upgrade will be a psychological thing to get people to buy the shares that the big guys want to sell. Biggest volume was right here. If we drop below this candlestick, low 226.50, hey, watch out. Then we're likely going to be coming back down maybe to the low down here of 202. So I'd watch maybe for roughly a 12% decrease on Boeing. All right. And GDX, especially if the market is pulling back too, like if Apple and Q's and SPY are pulling back, then it wouldn't be surprising that the Dow Jones would pull back too. And Boeing is one of the 30 stocks in the Dow Jones Moving Industrial Average. So putting all the puzzle pieces together. We have a descending triangle here on GDX and holding support right now roughly of 34.90. If it comes all the way back down, it could come down to 33. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I thought I put it on there, Da Remix. So 33.47 right here. Would look for that. That was another level in the past right here. And then once it broke above, that flipped to be support. So holding that as support, if that breaks, I would look for 33.46. And EGHT. Sorry about that. I thought I put it on. Nice. 8x8. Looks like a lower float, bigger volume. Shorts got taken out. Very parabolic move right here. So watching to see, I would imagine potentially that on Monday, we see a doji day right here. Just looking at the chart pattern, and the volume is dropping off. So likely a squeeze up at open, and then maybe an open right here, roughly around 34, and then a bit more of a doji, if not a red day, coming back down, closing roughly about $30, in my opinion, on this one. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to go rest my little head. I do have that headache, so I'm going to take some time to take care of myself. Have an amazing rest of your day. I will see you all tomorrow, roughly 12:15. If you all ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at jane@cjanetrade.com. Remember, if you like the video, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you guys can get some free information about the market, education as well, and have an amazing day. All right, carpe profit, seize those profits, one traded.